short weeks away, and Pure Sports is gearing up for the season with the best deal in DFS.
For a limited time only, we are offering new members a 15% discount for the life of their subscription, including SaberSim subs. Simply use the promo code NFL15 when subscribing to take advantage of this great deal before our prices go up.
And at RPS, we don't just give you access to one sport. When you subscribe to our premium service, we give you access to all of our content, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and so much more.
And we're not going to charge extra for access to our preseason content either. Our memberships include all of our content, including the NFL preseason. The best DFS players in the industry give you access to their core plays and slate strategies for every sport and for every slate. Simplify your lineup building process by plugging in picks directly from the top players in the world. Watch our premium live streams to gain a huge edge on the competition. Our guys are live up to lock for the biggest slates, walking you through their last-minute decisions, analyzing breaking news and injury alerts for the major sports.
Again, for a limited time only, you can access our industry-leading DFS content for 15% off our already low price. SaberSim packages are included, so sign up today using the promo code NFL15 for 15% off your subscription for life and start building winning lineups today.
What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Pure Sports, bringing to you the Saturday show. I'm here with my main man, Glock. Glock, what's going on? How's your Saturday going so far? We got college football back. It's awesome. And we have a really awesome, nice baseball slate to break down. So what's going on, my man?
Yeah, nothing much, AP. Obviously, there wasn't any MMA today. So, got a little break from that. Got to do some research on this main slate coming up. Roster Jeffrey Springs on the early slate, so that's not going too well. I think he had a really rough first inning, but he's kind of calmed down since, and he has 6 strikeouts, so maybe he can come back from the dead. But not doing too much today since there's no MMA, but obviously I'm excited. College football's back. Obviously I went to Texas A&M, so those were some of my glory days. I was a freshman when Johnny Manziel was a freshman, and that was A&M's first year in the SEC. So yeah, it was definitely a fun time going to school there. The money team. Yeah. So yeah, I love college football. I love watching it for sure. Definitely follow Texas A&M, and I'm excited to get the season started. And I know we have tons of content up at Pure, so excited to. I usually don't play DFS that much when it pertains to college football, but definitely since we got like grinders on it, like Bruce, Mangone, we got all those guys grinding it out. So excited to dive in with as a consumer as well.
I wish I could say I love college football as much as I used to, but I'm from Nebraska, obviously by default, a Nebraska fan, and it's an annual tradition. I swear, Glock, it's an annual tradition of just letting everyone here down, embarrassing ourselves on the national stage. We are literally 100 for 100. It's crazy. Northwestern got the best of Scott Frost today. They went up by 11. Onside kick, got cocky, and shoved it right in their face, as they should have, for Nebraska getting cocky like that. So mad respect to Northwestern out there. But I'm just so glad the football's back. Baseball is obviously dying down a little bit. But we do have the DraftKings live final tomorrow. I know our guy, BigT, is out there. BigT, you're going to take one of these down. I think it's going to be this week. I'm feeling it for you tomorrow. Best of luck to you. If you're not a member, we have a code right now, NFL15. It will get you 15% off for life. That includes SaberSim. It's a very, very good deal. We're running it all the way up to the start of NFL season. So with that, let's dive into this MLB slate. Let's start with pitching like we always do. Let's go kind of this top tier, maybe 8 Let's go David Peterson, so 8.7K up to Yu Darvish, who is going against my Royals at 10.4K. What are you doing with pitching, this upper tier pitching today, Glock?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the guys at the top, more specifically, Yu Darvish and Luis Castillo, Yu Darvish in specific, he hasn't, he's going to come with a little bit of ownership, and he hasn't really flashed much upside in a while. Obviously, he's going against your team in the Royals, who, definitely can be bad at times, but, with the bad comes the good. They can also be pesky, right? So I don't know if I necessarily want to pay 10-4 or for a guy like Yu Darvish. I'm interested to see what your take is on him. And then Luis Castillo, he's projecting to come in with, like top 3 starting pitcher ownership. And he gets a really pesky Cleveland team. I mean, if you look at the handedness chart, they're ranked 29th in the league in K percentage, since the beginning of August or July even. So the last 2 weeks, they're 29th. And then even if you date back to the beginning of July, they still rank 29th. So at 10.1K, you really have to decide if you want to take that risk. Obviously he's at home in a good pitcher's park. But will the strikeouts be there? That's a true question mark that I have. And so you skip those 2 guys, and then you come right to Brandon Woodruff. Obviously, I think he's going to come in with the most ownership out of all the pitching options we have on today's slate, but he's only 9.6K. And he gets the better of the 2 matchups between the Royals and the Guardians, right? So I like Woodruff a lot. Some kind of statistics so you guys can hear them out. I mean, the Cubs have struck out at the 13th highest rate versus right-hand pitching in the last 2 weeks. We kind of got a little taste of how bad they can be offensively last night when Ian Happ literally accounted for all of their offense. I think he had the only 2 hits, which were 2 home runs, and then he brought in 4 runs, and I think the others were walks or hit by pitches. So he was literally their whole offense tonight. So you kind of hope for the same without the Happ explosion, and you could be in store for a Woodruff mo, right? Woodruff has the 2nd highest K rate on the slate at 28.8%, allows the 5th lowest expected slugging rate at 0.368, and the 4th lowest xWOB at 0.294. So definitely one of my spend ups, one of my favorite spend ups for sure. And then a lower owned option I like is Merrill Kelly at 9.1K. I don't think he's going to come with too much ownership, and he's been pretty good to us for most of the year. Obviously, if you look at the handedness chart, the White Sox have only struck out at the 19th highest rate versus right-hand pitching since the beginning of August. But as we all know, I feel like the White Sox have been super disappointing this year, and I really couldn't tell you the last time they exploded offensively. So I like Kelly here. And, the good thing about him is he's top 5 in most pitching metrics on today's slate. K rate at 21.2%. He's only given up 9 home runs on the year. His expected slugging rate allowed is the 3rd lowest, and then his xWOB is the 2nd lowest at 0.280. So I think this is a nice spot for him to showcase his upside, at pretty low ownership. And then you just go on down the list. Urquidy, I'm not going to pay 8.9K for him. Jordan Montgomery is interesting because he's been absolutely mowing, and he gets a home matchup, but it's against the Braves, and I'm not sure. I think we've been on the shows here and there. I think I've heard JT talk about it, but he's due for regression, hopefully sooner rather than later. So I'm going to avoid him, and I'm going to avoid David Peterson. So in that range, I really just have interest in Woodruff and Kelly. And I think I'm just going to fade the Castillo chop personally.
Do you think one quick question, then I'll kind of go through my thoughts, but David Peterson, I saw that he was popping in projections. Do you think he's going to be a guy that gets a decent amount of ownership at 8.7K on this slate? I'm not the best at ownership projections, but what are you thinking about from an ownership standpoint?
Yeah, it does look like he's going to get some ownership. And, just because of that, I'm just going to take the stance of I'm probably not going to play him. You just look at his game log. Obviously, he can go up to 100 pitches, but before the beginning of August, he was in and out of the bullpen. He wasn't really a part of the regular rotation, so I don't really want to mess with that. 8.7K is kind of a lot. I think we have cheaper options down below, which have better matchups that we can exploit. So probably won't go there myself.
Yeah, very good. For me, so one thing I like to do, I like to look at season-long metrics and kind of, compare them against a 30-day, more of a shorter-term look at how a player's doing, batters and pitchers. Yu Darvish, so 4.1 xFIP, 25% strikeout rate, and has been good at limiting hits on the season, going against a Royals team that's striking out at 26% rate on the season. The other thing about Yu Darvish is he has arguably the longest leash on the slate. You pull up his box scores, and you'll see he's constantly going 7 or 8 innings. Then if you look at the short term, a 2.9 xFIP, I think that leads the slate by quite a bit. 26% strikeout rate. His command has been excellent. 36% hard hit rate. Not too bad. I think that's fine. But it's more so the Royals, man. They've been so bad, like so bad. 27% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. It was Nick Prado, however you want to say his name, that got it done. And I was on Joe Musgrove yesterday. Very, very hurtful there. Hit a bomb, absolute bomb. But that's the risk with this Royals team right now. They're all swinging for the fences. They're all kind of, trying to hit the ball out of the park. It's a big ballpark, one that's usually favorable for pitching. I know that it was very hot in Kansas City yesterday. It's 88. So it's hot again. Good hitting, good hitting environment. But you Darvish, man, I got to go right back to pitching here. I like picking on the Royals. Obviously different than how I usually am. I like to play Salvi, Perez, and some of these guys, but I'm just not seeing it, man. I just think the strikeout upside is too high. I got Darvish as the top option. And today I'm trying to get that top option right. I think he has really, really big upside here on the slate. I think Castillo, I'm with you on him on the fade. I just think between the two guys 10K and up, I don't want to play both of them when we have Brandon Woodruff in a really nice spot here at a discounted price. So I think I'd want to play if I'm double spending up, one of Darvish or Castillo and Woodruff. And Castillo, he's going to get the cut for me. You hit the nail on the head there. This the Guardians team is just, man.
I always say Indians.
I know it was coming. I don't do I think you were hosting what you hosted one of the weeks. When you're hosting these shows, it's it's a different job, and I think I went most of the season without saying the Indians, but the Guardians, they are pesky, man. 15% strikeout rate on the season. They just are very disciplined at the plate. And while Castillo's been good, I just think there's better options that we can go to. Brandon Woodruff, I don't want to compare the spot to what we saw from Cole last night. That wasn't it. But on the Up to Lock show, what we were talking about yesterday, premium show that we have on Fridays for members, it was just such an all-around upgrade, such a monster spot for Cole, who was coming off 3 really down games. And we saw it. I think he was the highest scoring pitcher on the slate by far, had an absolute beast of a game. I see a few things like that in Woodruff here, where he's coming off 4 games where it's just been so. This does seem like a nice get right spot. Obviously, I'm not comparing Cole to Woodruff, but we do know Woodruff as a guy that does have really nice upside. I like the price here at 9.6K. I can get on board with that. Charlie Morton against this Cardinals. I can't go there. He's been pitching really good though. I can't do it. I thought your comments on Merrill Kelly is really interesting. The White Sox, a team I've stacked one too many times, and they've always been disappointing. So I love the idea of going to Merrill Kelly. And then my other decision was David Peterson. I'm really kind of undecided. I think projections initially were, dictating kind of, my thoughts behind them a little bit more than the underlying research. And so I could probably get on board with you on kind of fading him, depending on what route I want to go. If I want to go a Darvish Woodruff, or if I want to go a Darvish and then a spin down option. So I think that's going to be one of the decisions I have to make on this slate. Let's keep it going. Glock, talk to me about the cheaper range down here for pitching.
Yeah, so I think just looking at the slate from a broad stroke, like I see a lot of the ownership at the top, right? And obviously we've seen it in these past few slates. If you fade some of these stud pitching options in prime spots, it's going to bury you, right? That one night where we had DeGrom and Nola, I think Nola put up like a 47 piece and DeGrom put up 30 something. If you did not have both of them in your lineup, or at least Nola, it was very, very hard to cash, even if you had like a very good offense. And I know that because I went like cheap pitchers on those. I went DeGrom and then like a mid-tier guy, and I faded Nola, and it just absolutely burned me, even though I had Toronto and like they had a ton of runs on the slate. So that's something to keep in mind for sure. But I just think like seeing all this ownership at the top, where, it's kind of pesky matchups leads me to fade these upper guys and then kind of invest more in this mid tier. So yeah, I mean, the first guy I'm kind of interested in, I think Gary mentioned in the chat, Smiley and Sonny Gray, they have the same K prop as Castillo and you. Obviously, the over 5.5 K prop for you is juiced on the over. But that's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, I don't think I've rostered Sonny Gray at all, if any, this year. But, I did watch some of last night's game and I just watched Joe Ryan like mow San Francisco down. I think he struck out 8 guys, allowed only 2 hits, and pitched 107 times. So Sonny Gray is definitely in play for me. I do think it's more of an eye test type of play, just because I don't like hate ever rostering a pitcher against San Francisco, right? They're just kind of like the White Sox to me, where I feel like it's very seldomly you see them that they go off. So you look at Gray's metrics, right? 6th highest K rate on the slate at 24.4%, allows the 6th lowest expected slugging rate at 0.371 and the 6th lowest xWOB at 0.299. I mean, those are pretty good metrics for a guy that's only 8.4K. So he's definitely going to be in my pool. And then you go a little bit lower to Drew Smiley. I think we've been targeting lefties against Milwaukee like for a long time now. So I'll just continue to hammer that here. Milwaukee is ranked number 1 in K percentage versus left-hand pitching in the last 2 weeks, and that also dates back to the beginning of July. So I'm just gonna keep hammering this spot. Obviously, when you get to the pitchers down in this area, you don't have like top tier metrics, right? But it's serviceable enough. And then when you play a guy like a Drew Smiley, you kind of just hope that they can flash some upside here, and that's what I'm gonna hope when I'm rostering Drew Smiley. Alex Cobb, don't think I'm going to go there. Zach Plesac against Seattle, definitely not going to go there. I don't mind Eduardo Rodriguez versus Texas, but seeing as he only pitched 78 times after coming back from injury on the August 21st, I'll probably just take a wait and see approach from him. But, I don't mind if you go there. Curious if you have any thoughts on him. And then I actually think the lowest I'll go on today's slate is Domingo Germán at 7.1K. Again, this is just another matchup based play for me, right? I think the last time I rostered him, it was against Seattle at the beginning of August, where he looked horrible. Like he couldn't strike anyone out. But since then, if you look at his game log, he's looked a little better, right? 12.9, 15.3, 12.3, and 19.3 fantasy points. So I think he can just get you there, right? You're just kind of hoping for 15 to 20 fantasy points, and you'll take it at that tag. Obviously, he plays the Oakland team, gets a friendly park. So yeah, count me in on Sonny Gray, Drew Smiley, and Domingo Germán as my cheapies on the slate.
Yeah, starting with Smiley, lefties against his Brew Crew team has been one that, we've been riding. I will say my one worry there is, I'm not worried from like a strikeout standpoint. I know that the Ks are going to be there. The problem is, if you look at Smiley, he gives up a ton of fly balls, and he gives up a ton to lefties. And so I'm looking at Rowdy Tellez there, absolute monster of a bat. He's good against either side of the play, obviously better against righties, but man, this dude has so much power, and he's going to be right there in the middle of the lineup. They aren't Keston Hiura, so he is not in the lineup. He's been kind of my boy over this last period.
Why do you like him so much? I feel like I've been seeing you talk about him in the Discord.
Oh, he's been go look at his number. He's been crushing, man. Maybe it's one of those things, like he's only crushed like when I played him for whatever reason. Sometimes that happens. Like, obviously not a guy like that I'm looking at or watching very often, but he's done well for me. And the short-term metrics look pretty good. But yeah, so that would be my one concern. But I think Smiley in tournaments is definitely fine. Let me pull up my list real quick to see all this. Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray, I recall him just absolutely mowing down the Royals not too long ago and having a performance that I think Yu Darvish could have tonight. But I like Sonny Gray here against the Giants. I think he is definitely someone to consider if you're multi-entering. Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm looking at the projections on him. I see a little bit of risk, but I think at 7.3, I think he's fine. I don't mind attacking the bottom half of this Rangers lineup. Obviously, the top of the order there is, there's a lot of dangerous bats there, but I think I think he will be, a fine option. And so I must have missed. Did you talk about Domingo Germán?
Yeah. He was my last guy.
Okay, yeah. Are you on board with him, or like,
I'm on board. I mean, anyone
Okay,
against
yeah.
Oakland, I'm on board with. I do see a comment in the chat, like probably not very necessary to go cheap at pitcher today. I mean, I want to know what hacks you got, because I mean, the offenses on today's slate are pretty pricey. The top ones, right? San Diego, New York Mets, New York Yankees, Houston Astros. Like those are some of the top offenses, and they're expensive. So, I mean, if you plan to jam in Darvish and Castillo or Darvish and Woodruff, then I feel like you're going to get really chalky with your second stack, at least with the cheap mini stack. So just something to keep in mind, just a comment. But yeah, I am definitely in on Domingo Germán for sure. I mean, it's not a sexy play. Like I just want to get that straight. It's more of a matchup and price play, right? Because when you want to jam in an expensive offense, you kind of have to take sacrifices at pitcher in some spots. So yeah.
I was really close between the two. I was really impressed with how Germán looked against the Mets. Went 6 innings. The strikeouts are what are a concern there, but you get him. So I was comparing him against Rodriguez. I like the matchup better for Germán, obviously, but Rodriguez, if he can get through 1 through 4 there, he could definitely have himself a day. So for me, it's really going to depend on how much safety floor ceiling combination that I want at pitching. And if I need to go down to this range, I do like the Padres again. I was high on them yesterday. I wish I would have full stacked them. It's just a get right, like for cold teams going against the Royals. I'm telling you, it's such a good get right spot. They put up 12 runs yesterday. Absolutely smashed. And Drury and Machado were the guys that I were on, and they were the guys that sucked the most. Well, and Kim was the other guy I was on. He absolutely crushed Steve Boynton's boy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can do that again today. But let's sum up pitching. Let's just give our top 3 favorite pitchers. Price doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, if price doesn't matter, I'm gonna go Woodruff number 1. Probably Drew Smiley number 2, and then Merrill Kelly number 3. I don't know. Kind of the last 2 guys I mentioned, Kelly and Sonny Gray, are definitely lower owned and more so GPP options. But that's obviously what I only play. So that's kind of where my mentality's at.
I forgot to mention. Did you talk about Keuchel? I started reading the comments in the chat, and I promise.
I feel like I didn't need to talk about him in this section. I'll talk about him later when we talk about the offenses. But are you considering him as an actual pitcher? Because I definitely wasn't.
Well, the projections are just great. Like the projections on him are pretty good. Like, I mean, when I saw that, it made me look twice because he's been absolutely terrible. But the Tigers have been terrible, man. So like, I think the only way I'm playing him is if I'm playing one of these studs, Woodruff or Darvish. I do think that you're playing, a stud pitcher plus him to get salary relief to get some of these other bats. But the projections on him are that I'm seeing kind of across the industry are pretty decent on Keuchel. So we'll see. He's not going to make my top 3, but I think he's an interesting discussion point. I think for me, my top 3 are, I got to go Darvish, Woodruff, and man, then it gets a little tough. Like I feel very good about those 2 guys. Man, I think, I might be on the Smiley train with you. It's going to be close between Smiley and Sonny Gray. Just to get different from Glock, I'm going to go Sonny Gray for my top 3.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of Smiley hate. I mean, we played Justin Steele last night, guys. He's a lefty against Milwaukee. I mean, it's the same concept that applies.
I do worry about, man. So when you look at short-term metrics and you're applying them, with a good team, that things do turn around, and you got to compare them to the season-long stuff. Like I do think this Brewers team will be able to hit lefties, and it could turn at any time, and a matchup against Smiley might be the case. So I do think there are risks there. But let's get into the games. We got quite a few to get through. Some obviously will be cross-offs, but let's dive into it. Let's start with the Reds at the Nationals. We got, the Reds. They got it done yesterday, obviously, against our boy. What's his name?
Cade Cavalli. Yeah.
Cavalli. The guy, I mean, man, these we kind of got to get off these like young
First
pitchers,
round, yeah,
like
first round
debuting.
picks, debut, yeah.
The guy has upside. I will tell you, he has upside. He had like the opportunity for so many strikeouts, but we gotta. It's not working even against bad teams. But what are we doing here? Because Espino has been a guy that I've been attacking all season long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really kicking myself because I literally always stack against the Nationals, and I didn't last night. You know, I kind of got definitely sucked into the Cade Cavalli hype train. And I mean, he had some opportunities out there. I don't know why they brought him out for that last inning. He could have ended with like 11 fantasy points or something like that. And then, you know, he came in for the 6th inning, I believe, and then just loaded up the bases, got pulled. And then his reliever gave up like all of his earned runs that were on the bases. So I did like some of the stuff I saw from him. He did have some K upside. I think he finished like 6 or 7, which was nice. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely kicking myself. Wrote the premium article yesterday, and literally in every premium article I write stack against the Nationals, and I didn't last night. I more so touted Keika Valley. But I mean, you look at the opposite side, right? In the Reds, like it's just like I don't think I'll hop back on tonight offensively just for the heck of it. I generally never stack up the Reds, and I probably won't for the rest of the year. It's more of like a mentality, like if they beat me, they beat me. And then the same goes for the Nat side offensively. Like I just don't have any interest on the bats in this game. I'm curious if you do.
Yeah, no, I do, because, you know, Espino been a guy just been attacking all season long, gives up a ton of fly balls, home runs. This is one of the better parks, and it's hot there, 85 degrees. Looks like really good hitting environment. Jake Fraley, a guy who's absolutely been bombing it. You know, Aquino, I don't know how they pronounce his name. But
Aristides Aquino, yeah, he's got a little.
Yeah, he was our boy. He looks like so lost at the plate, but the hits are starting to pile up. So like I wouldn't not include him. He's 2K going against a guy who gives up home runs. We haven't seen the power there, but they could come back. I actually like the Reds tonight. I think I'm going to include them. One of the reasons too I like them is the salary relief. To get, like, if you want to stack up the Padres, and if you want to stack up the Padres' expensive bats, you're going to need some salary relief there. Jake Fraley been hitting the ball really well, and you know, obviously yesterday this Reds team looked pretty good. So I like the spot against Espino, and then I don't mind the Nationals too. I know many, you know, including DC, were on the Nationals yesterday. Joey Meneses obviously was a disappointment, but this is a nice spot for him too against Luis Cessa. So, you know, a guy that I don't think is, you know, necessarily that good or anything. So, yeah, I'm going to have exposure to this game. I think you can play bits and pieces from both sides. I'm not sure if you want to like full stack it. Like how I'm approaching it is just like I said not too long ago. I'm using them as a salary relief kind of 3-man you know, potential stack to pair with a, you know, a more of a, you know, Padres type of team is how I'm looking at it. Let's
just
keep
one
it
thing,
going.
Just one thing, AP,
yep.
Before you move on to the next game. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people are going to do. So I think the ownership will be somewhat inflated on Cincinnati. Like if you look at the lineup that they have 6 2K guys. So that's insane. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 absolute min price guys. Fradel's 2.1K, and then Fraley's 2.7K, and then obviously Jonathan India's 4.6K. They're most expensive. So yeah, there's value littered throughout this lineup for sure. And yeah, I mean, I think if you are spending up for like, let's say you and a Woodruff, you are, and then you do have a main offensive stack that's expensive, you are going to fill it in with these 2K guys because it just makes it all work. So just keep that in mind when building out your lineups for sure. I do think like that Cincinnati value will get a little bit steamed, and as well as Washington, because they've got some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2K guys as well. So I think from a value perspective, the bats will be used in this game. So if you think you're being sneaky, like stacking one side up, you know, as a mini stack, I just don't think that'll be the case, because if you do need salary, I think you're going to go here for sure.
Yeah, no, fair argument there for sure. You know, it's going to be interesting too when I pull up SaberSim kind of to make those adjustments. A lot of times I'm like having to under project some of these 2K guys because they just will, you know, fit into my builds and stuff. But I do think some like Fradel, like I think he, 2.1K. Like look at the hair on his picture there, man. The guy's been hitting the ball decently. I do think he's maybe one of the guys that could get a little bit of ownership. Same with Jake Fraley. So good comments there. Let's go to the Tigers Rangers game. Keuchel against Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah, so I definitely debated Eduardo Rodriguez as a potential pitching option on tonight's slate. I think he'll just be good enough to kind of minimize the damage, maybe not like break the slate pitching wise, but that'll lead me to not have too much interest on the Texas bats. And then, yeah, I mean, as disgusting as it is, Detroit Tigers, right? I know you've had some interest in stacking up this team in the past. So when you talked up Keuchel somewhat, I was a little surprised. I figured you'd be all aboard this train.
I mean, I'm all for stacking dusty teams, Glock, but not lately. The Tigers have been so bad. When was I doing that? I think it was when Eric Haas was probably hitting a little bit better. Yeah.
And what was that guy in the outfield? I forget his name, but he was hitting dongs for sure.
Oh, he got hurt.
Carpenter.
Yeah,
Carey.
Yeah, Carey with a K. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, I have interest in the Tigers as disgusting as it is. Not really sure how Keuchel still has a starting job in the majors at this point. If you look at his metrics, second lowest K rate on the slate at 15.1%, fourth highest walk rate at 10%. Allows the seventh highest expected slugging rate at 0.443 and the third highest xWOB at 0.349. So yeah, I mean, count me in on Tiger stacks. I don't know if I'll full stack them, but mini stacks are definitely in play. I think if they are projected for ownership or not, I do think they're a little bit of a pivot from like a Cincinnati mini stack or a Washington mini stack, which is interesting. And they have some 2K guys as well. Heimer Candelario, 2.3K. Willie Castro, Harold Castro are min price. Barnhart has shown some power in the past and his min price. Zach Short as well. So yeah, I mean, count me in on any team that goes against Dallas Keuchel personally.
I mean, man, it's crazy that we're at this point and we're talking about the three of the worst teams. We're about to get to another one that's really, really bad too. But the Tigers, the Reds, and the Nationals. It's disgusting. But we saw it last night. We saw the Angels put up double-digit runs. We saw the Reds and go off, and then with the Padres at least kind of saved the day. There were a few stacks there. I saw there was a Royals stack there with an Angel stack. I was like leading the way, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, the Royals against someone full stack the Royals against Joe Musgrove, and then paired it with the Angels. I'm like, yeah, but what is the world coming to? I mean, it's crazy, but. I was really surprised by the projection on Keuchel, and it's more of, I think, like it's more of indicative of the matchup here against the Tigers. It's just a really, really friendly matchup. They've been so bad. I'm with you though. It's like, which bad team do you want to get exposure to? So I'm never gonna I would never try to talk you off of that. I'm all for in baseball if you're a multi-entry player and if you have the understanding that this is a season-long game, I'm all for stacking dusty teams up in certain spots with the understanding that there's always tomorrow, which I know is how you play, Glock. That's how I play too. So I could actually get on board with a stack here against Keuchel since he's been so bad.
Deal with the hand that we're dealt. I mean, Cody H in the chat talking up two of the worst offenses in the league. Come on, man. I mean, this is the hand that we're dealt. This is the hand that we're dealt.
Oh man. Outside of that though, I don't I don't want to play this game. It's just, man, two pitchers that aren't like Rodriguez. He's okay. Keuchel, he's so bad. I'm just blown away by the projection there. So who knows? Let's keep it going though. Let's talk this Padres Royals game up. The Padres double-digit runs, really good hitting weather there in Kansas City. I'm telling you, Brady Singer's the exception. This is what I said yesterday. He is the exception. He is the Royals' best pitcher by far. The kid is a stud. He looks really good. Everyone else, they all suck. They're terrible. We get Dusty Daniel Lynch tonight. He's bad. He's so bad. He's terrible, man. We can stack up this Padres. I know if you look at the 30-day metrics, they're not going to look that good. Doesn't matter. This Padres team is going to put up a ton of runs again tonight. Glock, what are you doing with this game?
Yeah, right there with you. I think we can make Cody H happy in the chat. We're going to talk up a big offense, as they say. So, yeah, I mean, no interest on the Royal side, as I think Darvish is, a good enough pitching option on tonight's slate to at least minimize the damage. And then, yeah, definitely have interest in the Padres. They finally showed some signs of life and offense last night. I think they put up 13 runs, most in a while. So I do think they can continue the momentum here against Daniel Lynch. He is coming off of a really, really bad performance against the White Sox, where I think he posted like a negative 2.8 or 2.7 fantasy points. So, and that's a White Sox. So now, he gets to go up against the Padres, who are now finally surging with confidence. Lynn has like below average pitching metrics and everything, such as K rate, walk rate, expected slugging rate, xWOB, everything that I look at when I'm looking at the metrics. So I do think the Padres can continue to tee off here in Kansas City, and I'm glad to see that you're on the same page as well. So yeah, I mean, I think
they get Juan Soto back tonight too, Glock. It's going to be 14 runs.
Oh,
God, they're going to pour it on tonight.
Steve gets Ha-Dong Kim leading off in the one hole as well.
Did you see his performance last night? Oh man,
I know he did good.
Very,
he hit a dinger,
very impressive. Yeah, hit a don. Yeah, it was a 30 DK point performance. It's going to be a rough night for Daniel Lynch. It's going to be a very rough night for the Kansas City bullpen. That sucks. Padres double-digit runs again tonight. I think that's what I said yesterday. I'm going right back to it. But I'm not going to be a pussy. I'm going to full stack this team this time around. Me and my little 3-man stacks did not get it done with the Padres yesterday. Just, man, I mean, just imagine you got to full stack it, man. That's what you have to do. So I'm glad that you're on that with me as well. You're not playing any Royals, right?
Yeah, definitely no Royals. I think Darvish will,
he's going to mow him down. Let's keep it going. Diamondbacks, White Sox, Kelly against Martin. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is like an interesting game for me. Just two teams that I don't really love stacking. Obviously, I don't think I have any interest in the White Sox, as I kind of made my case for Merrill Kelly earlier as a strong pitching option on tonight's slate. So definitely no White Sox for me. And then probably no interest in Arizona either. Obviously, they can go off any time, but I think Davis Martin is good enough to minimize the damage. So yeah, I'll probably stay away from this game personally. If I did have to pick a side, I would stack up the Diamondbacks, of course. But it would be more so like mini stacks with the power guys, like, Christian Walker, Dalton Varsho, Carson Kelly, those type of guys. But I'll probably stay away.
Riviera too. Dude's been mashing, man.
Yeah, your boy. Is he in the lineup today?
Yeah, batting second.
Okay, yeah, there he is. Nice. 2.6K. Another source of value for sure that you can include as a one-off maybe. But yeah, I mean, more so mini stacks, but probably going to stay away from this game. They'd probably be like, if I had my top 3 favorite offenses, they may be like one of my last cuts.
Yeah, I like that. I think so. I have the Diamondbacks in my pool currently. I like them as 3-mans. I like Riviera. I think 2.6K if they're base. Very good option. You could use him as a one-off if you want. And the reason is I love the power that he has, man. He showcased a ton of power recently going against Davis Martin. Not a guy that I'm worried about at all. Not worried about the White Sox pen at all. I'm going to be off of the White Sox here. They've just been constantly disappointing, and a team that I just can't see they battled injuries, and they've had so many things obviously that have hit them this season, but an easy fade for me for sure. Let's go to the Rockies and the Mets. Kyle Freeland against David Peterson.
Yeah, so no interest on the Colorado side. I think Peterson is obviously, he's projecting well. He's decent enough to minimize the damage. And yeah, definitely have interest in the Mets. I've stacked them up a lot these past few slates, and they've been super disappointing. You'd have to think they blow up sooner rather than later, and no better time than against a pitcher that, he either plays really good or he blows up in Kyle Freeland. I have some affinity to him because I played him in a live final and he absolutely mowed. But the Mets have been really bad as of late, and I think like this is a prime spot for them to bounce back, right? Metrics wise, Freeland has, some of the lowest metrics on the slate. Third lowest K rate on the slate at 16.4%. Allows the 5th highest expected slugging rate at 0.453, 4th highest xWOB at 0.347, and he's given up 16 home runs on the year, which is 4th most on the slate. And this Mets lineup is packed with power, so definitely count me in on some Mets stacks. And then no interest on the Rockies.
Yeah, so for me, my problem with the Mets is Marte's 5'6", Lindor 5'8". Pete Alonso 5'2". They're an expensive stack. So, and Kyle Freeland away from Coors, like I'm with you. Like he has his moments, and they usually happen away from Coors. So that would be like my one concern. This does feel like a spot where the Mets could get it right. I mean, the Rockies bullpen, not good at all. So I'm personally going to be under, but if you've been stacking the Mets, I would say stay on it because it's always like that time you get off. It's always the time that they like go off. So I don't know. I'm going to be under on this game. I don't like anyone from the Rockies side. I'm going to be under on the Mets, but I wouldn't talk anyone off of the Mets if they're going to continue to stack them up. If you haven't yet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Free show on a Saturday. We're going to make some money tonight. And I don't know if that's going to come, though, from this Cubs and Brewers game. We'll toss that over to you, Glock. What are you doing, Drew Smiley against Brandon Woodruff?
Yeah, I mean, I've already got enough crap for the Smiley play, but I mean, it's kind of silly to say, but I feel like this could kind of be more of a pitching duel. Obviously, I like Brandon Woodruff a lot. Top pitching option tonight for me. And then, yeah, I made my case for Smiley, lefties against Milwaukee. You made your case against it with how you think, gives up a lot of fly balls and that eventually get them sooner rather than later. So, I get both sides. Obviously, Milwaukee, when they're on, they have one of the best offenses in the league. But when they're off, against lefties, they're striking out a ton. So I'm going to pass offensively for this game and then, put the pitchers from this game into my pool rather than the bats.
Yeah, so since there is a case to be had with a guy like Smiley, but since we also know that he does have blow-up potential, I think if you're multi-entering, I think you do want to include the Brewers as a stack to target just because we've seen the upside that they have on the season. And what I would do is include Rowdy Tellez and Hunter Renfroe in that stack, maybe even Andrew McCutchen. Renfroe, McCutchen are the two guys that have hit lefties the best. That's saying, that's saying something because everyone else in this Brewers lineup has not been able to hit lefties at all. So that's how I'd approach it. If you're multi-entering, maybe even Urias down there as well, batting 6 as a contrarian stack that's going to be low owned. If you're multi-entering, I would definitely include the Brew Crew. But at the same time, I think Smiley, I think he makes sense at tournaments too. Obviously, if you're multi-entering, you can play those different routes. So kind of an interesting spot. Let's go to the Orioles, Astros, Urquidy against Dean Kramer.
Yeah, I mean, this is a interesting spot for me for sure. Dean Kramer is someone that, I stacked against in the past, like especially last year, but this year he's been actually pretty decent. So this is kind of more of a spot where, I have respect for both pitchers on the mound, Jose Urquidy and Dean Kramer. But it's interesting because they are both prone to being blown up at any time, right? I think the Astros have a 4.8 implied total. So that's interesting. The Astros have power up and down the lineup. Obviously, Bregman's 5K and hitting, extremely hot. Mancini's hitting home runs, it feels like, finally in the year. And then, they actually have like some value with Dubon and this Hensley guy. I don't know much about him, but he's second base eligible, shortstop eligible, and batting 8th for Houston. So they do have some value in the lineup that you could mix in. But Houston's kind of like the Diamondbacks for me on today's slate. I think they're going to be one of my last cuts, but can't blame you if you go to them for sure. Curious to hear your thoughts on this game overall offensively, AP.
Yeah, I mean, what Alex Bregman and Trey Mancini, what they're doing right now is incredible. Like Bregman is just, I think it was like Kay Fallick last week, like the hottest hitter, in the world by far, and that's only continued. I mean, it's really impressive the streak that this guy's on. I think he's going to be very popular even at 5K. I think Mancini maybe gets some ownership as well. I think if I'm stacking this up, I want Kyle Tucker in with Alex Bregman and Trey Mancini. Everyone else, like even, Yordong, man, something's up with him. I'm not playing Gurriel. Like he's been terrible. Altuve, you can play, but he's 5.5K and he hasn't been hitting as well as Bregman or Mancini. So here's the Astros for me. They've been so consistent with where their production's coming from. It's coming from Bregman, Tucker, and Mancini. I think you 3-man stack them, and then you find your 5-man elsewhere. It's an affordable 3-man stack too. 5K, 4.6, 4K. I mean, that's not overly expensive relative to some of these other spots on the slate. the Orioles are like a team where if you're multi-entering, just like always kind of keep them, available in your pool, because they can be really pesky and they can go off in these spots. While I respect Urquidy, I'm not playing him tonight. The short-term metrics don't look very good, but I just haven't been able to get the Orioles right. So I'm not going to be playing them. I do prefer the Astros side of this game. Don't want to attack Urquidy, but I'm not really sold on playing them, if that makes sense. So it's probably just the Astros here for me. Maybe Mateo. Mateo has been an absolute beast. I've used him as a one-off many different times. Actually, he's kind of cold right now. So maybe we can easily move off.
He's been good to me too, AP. Yeah,
I know. He's been
mini stacking Baltimore. Yeah.
Let's move on. We got 4 more games. So Giants, Twins, Alex Cobb against Sonny Gray.
Yeah, just another matchup. I feel like where I have respect in both the pitchers, right? Sonny Gray, Alex Cobb. They're going to minimize the damage. Obviously, I think Sonny Gray is one of the better pitching options on today's slate. So definitely no interest on the Giants. And then, yeah, no Twins interest for me. I think someone on our RPS team sent out a tweet saying, raise your hand if you're done stacking this team or whatever.
Didn't they go off yesterday too?
I have no idea, actually. I
thought they did. I think they did.
If they did, that'd be hilarious. But yeah,
I mean, I'm trying to remember.
They did go off 9 runs.
9 runs. Okay.
But I mean, they had 2 runs in the first and then 6 in the third, and then they died after that.
Yeah, it was one of those to where I think it would have been tough to get the stack correct as well. So yeah. I'm not playing this game. I'm with you on that. Let's go to the Braves Cardinals. Charlie Morton, who's been really good, going up against Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably going to be another pitching duel for me. It's kind of crazy to say with someone like Jordan Montgomery. But I mean, you can't deny what he's done, right? I mean, obviously you can make a case for both of these pitchers, Charlie Morton, 9.3K, Jordan Montgomery, 8.8K. They're viable tonight for sure. And, when these Atlanta, when they strike out and they're having a bad offensive night, they can strike out a ton. And the same goes for St. Louis. So I probably won't have any interest in the offenses in this game, surprisingly, just based on how good they are on paper. Obviously the Braves have power up and down the lineup. The Cards have power up and down the lineup. But I'm going to lean towards more of a pitching duel here and, not try to force anything on this 11 gamer.
Yeah, we do like the Cardinals a little bit better against lefties in there, but still this team profiles pretty well against righties too. But Gary's boy, Charlie Morton there has been really good of late. I don't know if we really want to attack him. I mean, look what he did against the Astros and Mets. Boston, who cares? But, even the Phillies. So starts against the Phillies, Mets, and Astros, all 3 really good teams. He sat them down. And so now he gets a good ballpark. It's hot, though. I mean, it is hot. That would be the one argument against him. And then, there are a couple lefty bats that are hitting pretty good right now. Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman, another power guy, even like Corey Dickerson. What I'm looking at, he's been hitting pretty good as well. But man, I would rather bet on Charlie Morton. And we didn't really talk about him either. I think he's interesting. I must have skipped right over him because I have him in my pitching pool. So I'm not interested in the Cardinals here. And then Jordan Montgomery's been really good as well. But I mean, I can't just pull up his game log, okay? Game logs aren't everything. That's not what I'm saying. But 42, 26, 29, or 30. I mean, since he's made this transition, it's like he's a new guy. However, I think it was JT Hayes on one of the last shows where he was talking about Jordan Montgomery. This guy is going to revert back to what we're used to seeing, a guy that was highly volatile, prone to giving up, some big runs. We're going to get the Braves here at very low ownership. They've been very good against lefties. You got Austin Riley, probably the best lefty hitter in baseball. The other argument is probably Goldschmidt or Arenado on the season on the other side of this game, but they're obviously not going against a lefty. You got Swanson, who's been awesome, and then you got the 2 catchers that have been awesome, and then Michael Harris. I think the Braves, anytime you have an opportunity to stack the Braves when they're going to be under 5% owned, kind of across the board as a team, I think it's a plus EV move to consider them and to get overweight on them. Big ballpark, not one that we love, but almost offset a little bit, 88 to 90 degrees there. Really good hitting weather here in the Midwest. So as long as there's no other weather issues there, I think the Braves are a really interesting stack. Any other final comments with that game? Are you ready for the Yankees ace?
Yeah, one thing, Butthole Jenkins in the chat, Corey Dickerson, good BVP versus Morton. Just looked it up, 18 at-bats, 8 hits, 6 singles, 2 home runs, averaging .444 at the plate against Charlie Morton. So if you're a BVP guy, that's pretty tasty BVP.
I'm always a sucker for BVP. Golf course history, BVP in baseball, sign me up.
Yeah, so that's pretty good BVP if you ask me, and 2.3K in the outfield. Sign me up probably. If you're not playing Morton, I would consider him for sure.
Yeah, very good. Yankees, A's, Herman against Aller. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good spot, I feel like, for the Yankees. Obviously, no interest in the A side. I mentioned how I like Domingo Herman as a potential pitching option earlier in the show, but I mean, there's going to be value in that Oakland lineup for sure if you need them as a mini stack. I know Saber loves jamming them in because it does provide, like, anytime you double spend on pitcher, you're always going to need a cheaper stack to fill it out. So no interest on the A's for me. And then, a ton of interest in the Yankees. This Adam Oller guy is someone we've been targeting a ton of recently. Metrics wise, he's like absolutely the worst on the slate. Lowest K rate on the slate at 13.3%. Highest walk rate at 11.8%. Allows the highest expected slugging rate at 0.9496. Highest xwOBA allowed at 0.373. And he allows the third highest exit velocity at 89.9 miles per hour.
Worst mug on the slate too. So if you go to the old Google machine there, by far the worst mug on the slate.
Yeah, terrible. So I mean, I expect to hear All Rise, at least once tonight, maybe even twice. I mean, I know it's a bad park, but obviously Judge can bang it out with the rest. And
he got one done yesterday. We talked about that yesterday, using him as a one-off, just as a power guy.
Yeah, they've been putting
Stanton,
up runs.
Judge, Rizzo, they got all the power in the world to get it a big ballpark, sure, but doesn't matter. It doesn't apply with them, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think we have the lineup just yet, but obviously you probably will have some value if Oswaldo Cabrera's in there. He'll be 2.1K outfield eligible and shortstop. So I like the Yankees a ton here. Definitely in my top 3 stacks. And then, like I mentioned, no interest in the A's.
How many? I don't know if you have it up, but how many runs did they put up yesterday?
Yesterday they only put up 3, but the game before that they put up 13.
13. Man, I love the Yankees. I'm on board 100% with you. I think the Yankees, I know it's a bad park, but they're gonna smash here. I mean, you see teams like, the Royals, like Coppin Stadium, it's not a good park at all, but the Padres put up 12 yesterday. You can see a lot of runs scored in these bad parks when you're using power teams with a ton of power. That's the way to attack them. Really good spot here for the Yankees. I think they absolutely smash. One of my favorite 5-man stacks for sure. If you can fit all the power guys in there. The other thing too that I like about them, Glock, is we don't have a lineup yet. So I feel like just naturally, maybe even on a Saturday, people want to go out, have a drink. Maybe they just don't want to worry about waiting for lineups to come out, making adjustments or whatever. Maybe a little bit, maybe it lowers ownership just a little bit. But I'm with you. Love the Yankees tonight. In the last game, we got the Guardians against the Mariners. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, so no interest in Cleveland here. I kind of didn't really make a case for Luis Castillo just because I think the lack of K upside is probably going to be there tonight. But I think he can put up a decent enough performance to where it obviously suppresses Cleveland as an offense, but he doesn't break the slate pitching wise. So no interest in Cleveland offensively for me. And then kind of the same goes for me for Seattle. I think Plesac is decent enough to not get shelled. I mean, it's kind of interesting because he is coming off of an extended break where the last time he pitched was on August 16th against Detroit. I rostered him there. He put up a really bad performance there. So that is interesting. An interesting point where Seattle could go off, but 11 game slate, I'll probably stay away. It's a pitcher friendly park. So I'll stay away. And then, obviously I can be swayed obviously into anyone like Julio Rodriguez on any slate. He is 6.2K, which is pretty insane and incredible, but obviously he has the best power in the league. So can't mind one-offs there, but I'll probably stay away. Curious to what you're going to say.
I just think, if you're spinning up there, I think I'd rather go the Aaron Judge route. I mean, if you're looking for leverage off of Judge, Julio Rodriguez is fine. But I think I'd almost prefer like the Braves or, even like the Padres if we're spinning up as well. So I'm going to be off of Rodriguez, and I'm going to be off this game entirely. So I'm pretty much on the same page as you about this game. Just looking over at the likes, we got, we're right at 80 and 300 watching. I don't know, Glock. I mean, chat, you guys can decide. Yeah, we are. I mean, if you want us to throw the plays of the day in Discord, we'll gladly do that. Just let us know in the chat. Otherwise, you better get above 100 real quickly because we'll be done here pretty soon. So give me your top 3 favorite stacks for this Saturday night slate.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple with the big bats. The Padres, the Yankees, and the Mets are my top 3 stacks. And then, I'll just give out like a contrarian stack. It doesn't look like Detroit is going to come with much ownership now. I think minis are definitely in play for Detroit as more of a contrarian stack. And yeah, Andrew Martinez kind of nails it on the head. 5-man Yanks and 3-man Tigers. Thoughts? I think that's a very viable route tonight for sure.
God, Keuchel's been so bad. It's like, I know the Tigers are bad, but just sometimes God, he's been, he used to get it done with smoke and mirrors, and there's no more smoke and no more mirrors to get it done for him. But man, it's just the Tigers are so bad. I think for me, Glock, I'm going Padres and Yankees for sure. And I think just from a contrarian standpoint, like I know I talked about the Reds Nationals as a cheap stack, not really trying to include that in this segment. I think the Braves would be the third team that I'd be looking at as a contrarian stack. So, hey,
I like it.
The chat did make a good push there. We went up by like 40 likes or something, 35, 40 likes. It's Saturday. What do you think? Should we be nice? Should we give the play of the day? I mean, I don't even know if I have mine right now. Still working through the slate. So,
yeah, I mean,
what do you think?
Why not? I mean, it's Saturday. We'll give some good mojo back to the people. I know some people in the chat will be mad that, I already see always Discord. Put it in the Discord of less than 100. So they want to keep it from the freeloaders. So yeah, I mean, I'm cool with it if you are. It's good mojo for sure.
Let's do it. So who are you on?
I'm trying to see here. I was gonna give Judge, but for a double dong call, but it looks like he's gonna come with ownership. Let's see here. I'll go with my boy Ha-Dong Kim leading off for the Padres.
Love it.
I like the Padres a lot tonight for sure. He'll probably come with some ownership, but it looks like New York is coming a little bit with a little more ownership. So I'll go with the lower owned leadoff bat and Ha-Dong Kim.
So mine is in the same game, and he's going to be very, very low owned. And the reason is because people that are stacking this game up, they're going to go to Josh Bell, who performed very well last night. But Brandon Drury has been the best. If you look at on the season, not short term, it's not the case at all. But on the season, he's been by far their best hitter when he's matched up against a lefty, Daniel Lynch, a lefty that we can definitely attack. I think Drury gets it right here. In a little bit of a cold slump, but I'm telling you, this Royals team is a great team to get it right when you're on a cold streak. I think Brandon Drury is going to do that tonight. All right, Glock. This was good. So if you haven't yet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. NFL 15 is the promo code that we are running right now. Good luck if you are in the live MLB live final tomorrow. We'll have all content up, playbook, course, in a show tomorrow with DC and company and all of those, the Sunday crew. So yeah, with that, I'm AP. That's Glock. Simon, get us out of here.